Hello everyone, I'm Adrian from Rabona TV and welcome to a weird version of the weekend recap. Why is it weird? Well, England are the only country from the top 5 leagues to have any action currently, so we'll talk about them and a couple of notable transfers for fun. And also, this week's weekend recap is brought to you by me and my merch. That's right, I finally have some merch that I can get behind. I've been working on this for the past few months, getting samples from all over the place and making sure the quality was something, again, that I could stand behind, as well as getting Mike K, who I'm sure you're familiar with, to help to design the logo. Shout out Mike K. I didn't want it to just look like some YouTuber merch, if you know what I mean, like no catchphrase or something like that on some shirts. Something that you would be stoked to wear and would be more representative of a brand than strictly just a YouTube channel from some Canadian Benfica fan. So if you want to check it out and grab some Rabona Sporting Club merch, then use the link in the description. And today and tomorrow, you could get 20% off with the code LAUNCH. My fave color these days is mint green, so I went with that for our first iteration, but I'll have some other color variations coming soon. Some red, perhaps? A monochrome version of the badge? Oh yeah, and I'll have hats and other stuff available as well soon, so stay tuned for that. Hello, and welcome to the Transfer Corner of the weekend recap. Now, after Salzburg had lost Minamino to Liverpool, and it is looking more and more likely that they will also lose Hwang Hee-chan to Wolves, news broke on Sunday morning that Erling Haaland had signed for Borussia Dortmund for a rumored 20 million euros. That's it. That could definitely be a steal in the future if all goes well. I like that he chose to go to Dortmund, as he'll develop a lot better there than if he was going to go to a big club where playing time would be a big question. Some United and Juve fans were convinced that he would arrive at their club, but I think that he made the right decision in the end. Once again, actually. When he was still at Malmo, he was linked with Juve and some other big teams, but he chose to go to Salzburg. That, to me, was a very mature decision in order to prioritize his playing time and development, and to take a natural step rather than a massive leap. A lot of talent has been wasted on massive leaps. And I think he's done the same thing here once again, almost a year later. Again, massive interest from the likes of Juve and United, and he took another natural step in the right direction. Dortmund has the pedigree of developing talent, especially attackers, and he'll be in a relatively similar environment as he was at Salzburg. I'm talking about language, culture, etc. here, by the way. So that was a good move for him and potentially a great move for Dortmund as well. Also, Zlatan, he's back at AC Milan. He was last there 9 years ago in 2010 and stayed until July of 2012. Now, Zlatan is clearly old. The guy is 38 years old, and while the skill and technique of the MLS pales in comparison to the European leagues, the physicality is there, and Zlatan was able to keep up and bang in the goals. It will be a different story in Italy, of course, but the guy has only improved since he was 35 years old. Zlatan, on a free transfer, is a great move by them, as he will be a help in the locker room amongst the other strikers and will no doubt provide a threat when he's on the pitch, I think. We'll see. Whether he'll be the starter ahead of Piatek and Rafael Leão, I don't know, but having him as an option to throw in and use his physicality and positioning, not to mention his technique and finishing, is great for Stefano Pioli and Milan. Milan needs help, and Zlatan will help them. Will he propel them to the top 4? I doubt it. I think that ship has sailed for the season, as they would need to be near perfect for the rest of the season and hope for some colossal f***ups from the rest of, Atalanta, Cagliari, and Roma. But he will improve them, and he has a lot to offer. I like this move for Milan while they go through this tough phase in their history. So in the Prem, there's been a ton of matches lately, but I won't do a full breakdown of the action from Boxing Day and the 27th, just from match day 20, aka this past weekend. So, on Saturday, Manchester United won 2-0 against Burnley. Goals from Anthony Martial and Marcus Rashford, who are having a fun holiday season. They were also part of the fun in United's Boxing Day victory over Newcastle United. For Rashford, he scored his 11th and 12th goals in his last 2 matches, Martial scoring his 5th, 6th, and 7th. Not bad for Martial from just 14 appearances, especially when you consider his 3 assists as well. And hey, they got it done against teams that they should be beating. That's an improvement from United, so big up to them. They need to continue on this trajectory now. Chelsea continue to have a mixed holiday season. On Boxing Day, they lost 2-0 to Southampton. 15th place Southampton, who, to be fair, have hit a bit of form lately, but still, not a good look for Chelsea. Well, on Sunday, they faced off against an Arsenal side who were winless in their last 3 matches and have a new manager in Arteta, of course, and things didn't get any better for Arsenal as far as results go. Now, do they look like an improved side under Arteta? Yes, but they still aren't anywhere close to the expectations. They started pretty well, I'll say that, and Aubameyang's header was fantastic, but they were non-existent in the second half. Well, maybe that's harsh, but it's also harsh on Chelsea as they found their way back into the match due to a Leno mistake. He failed to deal with a cross and Jorginho had an empty goal to direct it in. The second goal for Chelsea, a stunning counter-attack, more great work from Willian, and even better from Abraham to calmly turn his man, being Mustafi, and slot it. 2-1 Chelsea. What about the other team, who recently changed their manager? Everton. Well, since Marco Silva has left, the team has been... they're undefeated. A win and 2 draws under Big Dunk, and under Ancelotti, Everton have won both of their matches. First, they won 1-0 at home against Burnley. Solid, nothing to write home about, but it's a match that they perhaps would have struggled in under Marco Silva. Then they went away to Newcastle United. Now, prior to their loss to Manchester United on Boxing Day, Newcastle were actually marching up the standings and doing pretty damn well. But they may have had a few too many pies with old Steve Bruce over the festive period, as they haven't been at it since Christmas. That's only half the story though, because we gotta give Everton credit where it's due, and they are performing much better under Ancelotti. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's brace was enough for the Toffees, but they have some big matches coming up. First, Manchester City on New Year's Day, and then Liverpool. I said that I wasn't a big fan of Ancelotti being appointed at Everton, but he can prove me wrong, and I'll praise him for it if he does. One thing I will say though, he loves to manage the big matches, and he's beaten Klopp in Liverpool once before, so we'll see if he can do it again. Tottenham had a mixed festive season, with VAR perhaps aiding them a bit as well in their match against Tottenham. As you can see here, once Norwich had made it 2-0 via Pukki, it was called back due to his absolutely marginal offside call. Harsh on them. Eriksen leveled with a stunning free kick as he got the start. They really need him, to be honest. And after an own goal from Aurier, Harry Kane converted a penalty to get the 2-2 draw for Spurs. Ah yes, you want more VAR drama? Let's now look at Sheffield versus Man City at the Etihad. City were fresh off of their 3-2 loss to Wolves, where they blew the 2-0 lead. To be fair, they were a man down for a long time once Ederson had been sent off in the first half, in the opening minutes of the first half. Sheffield came into this undefeated in 4 matches, while VAR came into this match in fine day-ruining form. And it started out with this offside goal, which would have seen Sheffield take the lead at the Etihad. They were looking good in this match. Then, when City did take the lead, Chris Kavanagh had a material effect on the play, and yet he didn't blow it down for a drop ball. Now, this is likely due to a technicality, as of the new IFAB rules which came into effect this past summer. When the ref touches the ball, they're supposed to blow the play down and do a drop ball. Here, I guess he technically did not touch the ball, but to say that he didn't have an effect on the play at all would be a straight up lie. Really harsh to not call it back, as him bumbling into the Sheffield player gave a massive advantage to City, and they scored from it. 1-0 there. Later, De Bruyne put a finishing touch on another great attack in transition from City as he added to his assist from earlier. Man has been involved in 19 goals so far this season from just 19 appearances. 7 goals and 12 assists. Man of the match for the 3rd time in 4 matches. I should have made him my PFA Player of the Year in my predictions this season as I did last season. Liverpool versus Wolves. Yep, more VAR bullshit, man. Cue the Amrabat VAR is bullshit meme. First, we have Liverpool's goal, which the referee initially called back for handball. This was a good implementation. As you can see, it came off of Lallana's shoulder, which is legal. Then they checked for Mane's being offside. Again, the right call. Now, they didn't check this, I don't think, but in the build-up, some people thought that Van Dijk handled the ball. As you can see here, it popped up and came close to his arm. Personally, after watching multiple angles, I couldn't conclusively say that it touched his arm. Therefore, you gotta stick with the on-field call. At halftime, they looked at it from every single angle, and none of them could actually prove that it did touch his arm. So you gotta just go with what was on the field. Now to Wolves' goal that was disallowed. I feel for them, man, as this image is another armpit offside style call. This time, however, he is about a shoelace width offside. Is it technically offside according to the technology? I mean, I guess so, but in using this kind of ruling, it kills the game. This is not a clear and obvious error by the referee. If you have to take your 1080p image and zoom in to the point where it looks like an 8-bit video game, and even then you can barely see the offside, then this is definitely not a clear and obvious error. Hell, it's not even any advantage to the attacker to be a few pixels ahead of the defender, is it? But I guess across the stretch of the season, these kinds of things do in fact even themselves out for the most part. Liverpool isn't the only team to have benefited from an attacker being a pixel offside. It happened to them as well. I mean, these guys were the start of the armpit offside meme, remember? The offside rule needs to be amended somehow. I'll leave that to people that are smarter than me, but currently this simply doesn't work. Like I always say, you used to give the advantage to the attacker when it was this close. I mean, there used to need to be daylight between yourself and the defender for it to be offside. Meaning you could go in there with your chest offside. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they could do. Perhaps only consider the feet when looking at the offside, none of this armpit or ass offside stuff, and maybe adopt similar rules to that of what's a goal and what isn't. If the entirety of the attacker's boot is beyond the defender's foot, then it's offside. If it isn't, then it's on. You know? Now, you would still run into the same sort of problems in regards to people being offside by a millimeter or so, but at least by only considering the placement of the feet of the attacker and the defender, you would cut out some of the ridiculous offside by an armpit, chest hair, skin cell of the knee type of bogus calls. That alone would be a help. Would it solve it completely? No, but some of the calls would be way more tolerable. It's ridiculous that a player's feet can be onside, but in naturally leaning forward to run, their armpit goes offside. They don't even score with their armpit. They end up scoring with the part of their body that was onside, yet the goal doesn't stand. I find that to be a bit silly. Maybe that could be the rule. If your head was offside and you score with your head, disallow it. If your feet are offside and you score with your feet, disallow it. But the feet should also be the baseline. So if somehow your head was onside, but your feet weren't, then it shouldn't be a goal still because you're ahead of the defender. You're a foot ahead of the defender. I don't know, I guess these are half-baked ideas, but I think that they are moving in the right direction at least. And like I said, someone smarter than me could maybe fine-tune them. Like you, you're smarter than me. How do you think they could change the offside rule to improve the experience for everyone? Anyway, let's quickly look at the standings. Liverpool still has a game in hand, and despite that, a 13-point lead over Leicester, which could stretch to 16 points. That's crazy. Chelsea's win did a lot for their position as they managed to keep United at bay, and hey, 5 of the so-called top 6 are actually in the top 6, the only exception being Arsenal in 11th, 6 points outside of it. But that's it for me. I hope that you guys enjoyed this different sort of weekend recap. I can't wait for the rest of the leagues to get back in action. If you enjoyed this video, then a like is appreciated. If you want to support the channel and you want something physical that you can hold on to in return, then use the link in the description or the top comment, whatever I do. And if you do that, please use code LAUNCH. All right? Thanks so much for watching, guys. I appreciate you, and take care. Bye.